The Jim and Terry Show, looking upward, not just at James Webb and signs and wonders in the spiritual sky, but actually starships.
Up, up and away.
In my beautiful what? Starship?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was balloon. Yeah, okay, it's Starship now. And we just watched a little video that surprised me.
Yes, it did. It was Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz, senator from Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
Me, no question.
Sometimes gets under Terry's skin a little bit.
Oh, just a little.
Actually, just asking some,
what was the vice president of operations, I think, for SpaceX? Gertmeyer? Oh, forget the name. I'll get it tongue twisted anyway. But a SpaceX executive talking about FAA regulations and timelines.
Well, this is Fish and Wildlife now.
Yeah. Well, they got to supply the information to FAA to make the ruling.
Yeah.
It's either good or not good.
Yeah.
So what's the FAA got to do with this? Is it because of the deluge system?
Well,
the first permit didn't include any water system, and now you got hundreds of thousands of gallons being spewed.
Well, you've got all kinds of corrections and just the way SpaceX operates, as you know. Even Ted Cruz was saying, or the guy was saying, you got to let us launch. It's how we know to fix it,
right?
And I would add to that, that's why we're the biggest rocket company in the world, why your Space Force is looking to us, why the moon landing is looking to us, why the voyage to Mars is looking to us, because what we do obviously is working.
Yes.
And once we develop this, you've got almost zero pollution in compared to what the world's offering.
The choice of the fuel was important. And that's based on going to Mars and multiple launches,
but bringing it back, reusing the rockets. They've proven they know how to do that with these absolute gigantic, bigger than anything you can imagine rockets. They need to launch a few of them to find out how to get them back safely. Then no more dumping in the ocean, no more of that kind of stuff happening. And the Fish and Wildlife, you may want to save the fish and wild people thing, and I know that, but if you let SpaceX move forward on this, their development's going to change the world's way of traveling in space, and you're not going to have to worry about the wildlife and the fish and everything.
We had a podcast where we talked about the future being bright or dark. SpaceX tends to make the future look bright because it is developmental, it's cutting-edge technology, it's taking us off-world. But in the process, as you often remind me, the process in the quest for space and journeying to the moon and Mars and beyond is also the process of adapting that technology to have applications in consumer products and our own lifestyle.
We can't even list all of the benefits mankind has had just by trying to get to the moon, just by trying to orbit the Earth, just by being in the space station. The list, you look it up. I'm not going to, not you, Terry, I mean the audience, you look it up. You'll find thousands. So
applications of developing technology.
Yeah, that had to be developed in order for man to get from here to there. And I know there's a lot of people that aren't for it. Why bother? Blah, 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 blah,
we
blah.
We have the poor. We still have cancer. Why can't we
billions? Get rid of your car.
Trillions.
Get rid of your central heating. Get rid of all the oxygen in hospitals. Get rid of all of that stuff that has been developed and not hindered. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You don't like technology going forward. The car you're driving has developed from cars crashing, breaking, windows being busted, wheels falling off. Now you're in a safe vehicle that it's awful hard to die in if you should get in an accident. The same as with space. They're trying to get this thing going that it becomes common use and not polluting the world. There's a good goal at the end of it all. So cut them some slack.
Yeah, so the thing we're talking about on the Jim and Terry Show, we're both SpaceX fans, and we're fans because we believe that the technology is putting humankind on a better footing towards a better future. And we just like space.
Well, and the other part of it, the selfish part of it is I want to I want to see what's going on out there. Same as, are there aliens? I'd love them to find a ruin, a Coke can on the moon. So anything I think would be fun and something to talk about. That's the happy little part of me that just likes conspiracies and likes to travel and see development like this and think Star Trek. But the other part of me is I know it's for the betterment of humanity. The more they have to develop things to get to a distant hostile planet, the more they're going to invent things to help mankind here on this earth.
And maybe keep the peace.
Yeah, and maybe keep the peace, but you know where I go with that. But.
Well, here's a morbid thought for you. I just had, that Pez dispenser door?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be loaded like a Pez dispenser for dispensing the satellites.
Yes.
I'm wondering about, this is morbid, coffin dispensing. Could you see a whole thing, like hundreds of coffins being shot out of that
It's
Pez
not such
dispenser?
a bad idea.
Get rid of the bodies on Earth?
Well, especially with the cost that Elon Musk wants to bring this down to.
Right.
Imagine if they said, okay, the cost of your funeral is, what is it now anyways, $10,000?
We'll say that was a space flight.
And we will eject them into the atmosphere. And after a day or 2 or 3 or 4, they're going to burn up and come into the earth.
Send them to the sun, into the light, the light, Bob.
What do you say we just do the Santa Claus thing and say, they went away.
They went away.
But it's not such a bad application if you think about it, because we've often wondered about overcrowded graveyards and stuff like that.
How about this? Shipping spent fuel rods for nuclear facilities. We've always wondered, how do you keep this stuff safely sealed in vaults buried in mines?
Aim it for the sun. The sun's used to it.
There you go. The sun is it.
Yeah, that's right it.
How about that? I think we're onto something here. You heard it first on the Jim and Terry show.
Well, and there's going to be stuff like that. There's a company developing right now, aside from SpaceX, that part of their initiative is to bring back broken satellites and things that aren't working in space.
Space junk recovery.
And bring them back and, I don't know, put them in museums or dismantle them or take parts that can still be used. I don't know.
Yeah. Waste management systems to the stars and beyond.
There will come a time, should man survive long enough, that they'll actually get that. They'll dismantle the things that are worthwhile, and they'll point the others in the atmosphere and burn up the garbage.
Now, we're talking about SpaceX, and that's the leading. I forget. Their Booster 9. Is it Booster 9? Is that
Falcon 9?
Falcon 9.
Yeah.
They have the most iterations of. They've launched more mass to space than the entire world in the history of space.
Something like that.
Something like it's a ridiculous statistic.
Yeah.
One company and one rocket, the Falcon 9.
And you don't want to stop a visionary like that. He's not talking about destroying the Earth. Yes, Space Force will get a hold of it. Yes, everything that man invents will eventually be turned into a weapon if it can. But that's not Elon Musk's problem. He's a visionary. He's spending his money in order to advance what he believes advanced man to be a multi-planetary species. I think his reasoning is a little nuts, but that's okay. He just thinks that man's either going to get wiped out by an asteroid, or we're going to blow ourselves up.
Or Ebola virus.
Or a virus. Yeah. So he works partly on fear. I don't think it's that big of a part, though. But that's one of his arguments to the existence of the psyche of man going somewhere else.
We need to get a Jim and Terry show SpaceX hybrid shirt or mug or something designed so we can celebrate when it launches. You think November 1st.
I heard that today, but it was on that show, I think.
What about it?
No, the one that Great Space?
Great SpaceX?
Well, the one that kind of puts false leading.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know how realistic that is.
Clickbait titles. Yeah, I got tired of searching through their stuff because what they said in the title was not. The Jim and Terry show is always
we're genuine folks.
What we advertise. And we are lethal weapons in our own, 70, whatever.
Wake down, Tata!
That's right. There you go. SpaceX. So we've envisioned waste disposal through SpaceX through the Pez dispenser. Getting rid of nuclear fuel rods, spent fuel rods. Lots of good stuff, lots of applications, and that might solve one of the big things which Alberta, Saskatchewan, conservative governments in general tend to say, which is we can't get off of fossil fuels. Yes, you can. Maybe nuclear energy is the way if we can manage the waste.
Well, if they can manage the waste, the other thing is, if you can assemble a power source orbiting the Earth that can transmit energy.
Oh, wireless energy.
Wireless energy.
Didn't that Tesla have that?
They have the technology now.
Not Tesla as in Musk Tesla, but
Tesla,
the original.
Yeah, the original Tesla.
Tesla, wireless electric transmission.
Yeah, he developed that. It's available now. It actually can be done now. And so to develop that.
Well, I'm feeling you transmit energy right now, Jim. I feel it.
Yeah, it's just, I got gas today. Just gas.
It's a different kind of energy source. That's the polluting kind. All right. Yeah, SpaceX. It's good to. I'm not going to say. Did you read science fiction when you were a kid?
I looked at science fiction.
Did you watch Flash Gordon when you were a kid?
Yes, I watched. Okay,
so we are maybe a byproduct of a 50s outlook on life that the future was space and we were going to get there.
Well, I can understand the current generation not being too excited since we stopped. Yeah,
they would have been born after this shuttle.
Well, yeah, or when they just decided not to go back to the moon anymore, and everybody lost interest in them going up and circling the Earth.
I love the space station. And I love what they're thinking of the next space station. This one's due to fall out of the atmosphere in 5 years or something like that. So we got a few years.
And who's taking this place?
Who's going to put pieces up there to be the labs of the future? Yeah.
SpaceX. They're saying what? 2 ships or 1 ship is equivalent to all of the living quarters that's on the ISS,
and you know how
which
big
is a football field long.
That's right.
And SpaceX can do it with 1 vehicle. Yeah. Put 2 vehicles together and have them spinning around the opposite direction, whatever.
Yeah,
you got gravity now.
Yeah.
I mean, SpaceX has shown that these things can be really visualized again for the first time in a long time. There's an opportunity to affordably go into space.
Well, let's exit with our opening song. Up and away in my beautiful balloon. Yeah.
I always go to the negative.
You do. I don't know why. You're such a positive guy. Bye-bye.